Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 23rd day of June. I've got a great show on tonight. Now, Carlos is not going to be with us. He has got some family things to attend to. I will say this. I started this show the day after Labor Day last year, and Carlos has been my Friday guest every week. And this is the first Friday he's had to miss due to family things. I've actually had to cancel on him on a Friday on you all because I had a laundry room issue and I couldn't get back in time. So kudos to that dude. That guy is very consistent, definitely deserves a day off, and I thank him for what he's done. But I got a great show for you all tonight. I had to do some work on Friday. Normally I just do laundry and the grocery store, but AFC West going to break that down. A little trash talking there for Travis Kelce and Jamar Chase back and forth. I think that team takes a step back. I'll talk about them as well. Denver takes a step up, and this Charger team is really good. I'll preview it that way. Damian Lillard, he's still a Blazer. We'll talk about that. The Buffalo Bills. Kind of a little news dump Friday. They quietly extend Brandon Beam and Sean McDermott. I'm still saying McDermott still could be on the hot seat. Okay, got a take on that, and some people are calling it the nerd fight. Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg are challenging each other to a potential cage match or octagon MMA style fight. That would really be interesting. Talk a little bit about that. ESPN, there's another round of layoffs, and I think Stephen A. Smith is preparing his exit route here on Sports Soap. So we'll get to all that and more. We'll go ahead and get our first and only break out of the way, and I'll be back in 49 seconds here on Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. Then, okay, let's talk about last night. Most went as expected as far as the NBA draft. 3 guys you've heard of, a lot of guys you're just maybe. Pickle says I might pay to see that Zuck death match. No, that's funny. That's funny. MTV used to do celebrity death match with like these little claymation things, and it was a pretty funny little show there back in the late 90s and early 2000s. It was actually pretty good. But yeah, a celebrity kind of, boxing match with those two guys there. That would, or even it's supposed to be an MMA style, which would be worse. That would be interesting. I'll get to that though here in a little bit. That's funny though, Pickles. But anyways, so that would that Blazers. This Blazer team, they end up getting Scoot Henderson. I think there was some thought that, according to Shams Charania last night of The Athletic, that Charlotte at number 2 was going to get Scoot Henderson all the way up to the last minute. I got a free bet on FanDuel, Pickles, that I bet Scoot Henderson to go number 2, and he didn't. Bet it was $5. What the hell, So that didn't go through. Brandon Miller from Alabama. He ends up going second, the wing there. The guy with a little controversial background with the the death of the woman that he was somewhat, associated with, but never charged. We talked about that at nauseum. And Malika Andrews, she shouldn't have gotten any issue for that. I mean, she's just bringing up the facts. It was some controversy. But going to Scoot Henderson, the 2-year player that's played the semi-pro league, I've talked about him yesterday. He is ready-made. He's a ready-made player. But Damian Lillard he's still a Portland Trailblazer as of right now. I don't think he wants to have another CJ McCollum type of situation there. So it's one of those. It's one of those issues where the options are running out for Lillard, but I do think that there's still some possibility. We have the legal. Legal tampering coming up next week on the 30th, folks. It'd be technically 1 week from today. Today's the 23rd with free agency and whatnot. Could something still happen? I think so. Now, Pat Riley kind of threw a monkey wrench in this whole thing. I thought Miami would be a really good fit. He's saying, now, could he just be saying this? But he said that Tyler Hero and Bam are part of the core there of Miami. He wants to keep that core there to keep that championship run together. Hinting at maybe they don't make any kind of moves at all. I do not think they should. I would try to move Duncan Robertson and Tyler Hero for those two very young players. Would like to move them for a Damian Lillard, in my humble opinion. Now, also, listen, folks, Milwaukee, Chris Middleton, he has opted out. Now, getting older, long in the tooth, he opted out a $40 million option there. He wants a longer-term deal. The 30-year-old player there wants an extension. He's going to test the free agency. Technically, Draymond Green will be a free agent as well. Can you see maybe a Miami going after or a Milwaukee going after Draymond and maybe making some kind of trade for a Damian Lillard? I can still see that. I can see that. Now, of course, they would have to get another team involved. If I'm Lillard, I would definitely want to play with a excellent player. One of the best they're the best rebounding team in the league. This Buck team, best rebounding team in the league, best record at 57 wins. A very good team. Remember they hit they went like 12, 15 in a row last year. Like Corey said, hotter than fish grease. Hottest team in the entire league. Giannis gets hurt, and you could see how Giannis dependent they are. They've got a new coaching staff there. I would like to see as another option for him to go to Milwaukee. So I think that could still, now that being said, maybe give up a Drew Holiday, some younger players. You're going to have to find another team to make it appealing for Portland to trade this player. So that could be that could be challenging for the Milwaukee Bucks. But if you want something bad enough, and you're a really good GM, a crafty GM, like a Sam Presti, like a Daryl Morey from Philadelphia, you can make these big trades happen. You can make them happen. So you would have to get another team involved. I think things can happen there and build around Scoot Henderson. This guy's going to be a jump off the page kind of guy. He could beat out Wembley for Rookie of the Year. He's really good. He's explosive. I told you yesterday that he reminds me of Dwayne Wade. I don't think that's an overstatement now, but we shall see. We shall see. Another team to keep an eye on. What about a New York Knicks team? Still got a lot of future draft picks with the Knicks. Still got some young R.J. Barrett. Got some young talent. They've got some wings there. So they still got Randall. Would you move Randall and a Barrett? They would probably want to go towards a Barrett and a lot of picks there. Probably have to get another team involved, but they have the money to make it happen. Get him to play off the ball there. Jalen Brunson, He can play more of a shooting guard type of role. Like I was listening to Colin Coward saying that Golden State, they're trying to do this with Chris Paul carrying the ball up. And by the way, Golden State, they're saying now they want to roll with Chris Paul and have a Steph Curry play off the ball a little bit there and let him find ways to get open. Listen, it's less energy if you're carrying the ball all the time. So would you do that? I think so. And Pickles thinks with Dolan there. Now, I'll tell you what, they did push Miami to 5 games. Miami ended up going to the finals there and winning a game in the finals. So I do think they're on the right track with the Knicks. They're on the best track they've been probably in over 20 years, if you ask me. I do like the fact that I like their point guard there. I like Thibodeau, although they do need some fluidity there. They need some more score. They need a Damian Lillard type of guy. They need a Trae Young type of guy. Now, maybe the way Trae Young played early on and getting them to the playoffs with new coach Dan Snyder, maybe they keep him in Atlanta. But I think that Lillard, there's a home out there for Lillard. And a dark horse, obviously, there's been some rumors that maybe he would want to play with Mikal Bridges out of Brooklyn. Remember, they got to the playoffs, but I don't think that's enough. What do you say? What if you keep him? Yeah, Vucevic from Chicago could be available in free agency. Maybe they make a hard run at him. And, of course, Kyle Kuzma, that would give you a forward there. That would give you a wing. Possibly they can make that happen. Not sure if either would come to Portland. Portland's a very hard place to go get free agents, but hey, they've got some good players in the past there. Remember the 2000 team with Scottie Pippen and Stoudemire? So they can make that. Rasheed Wallace. It's not often. It is a good basketball town. I was watching the Bill Walton documentary. He loves it up there in Portland. Shaq said Portland is one of the best basketball venues he's ever been to as an opposition. So they do love their basketball. They might have a bunch of whack jobs up there, but they do love their basketball team up in Portland. But I just don't think they're going to get enough people around Lillard. I would just trade him off. I would have tried to trade him off and maybe got another pick. Apparently they didn't want Zion Williamson. And the Pelicans didn't want to give up Brandon Ingram. Essentially, the Pelicans, they're stuck with Zion. His market's just not there. His market is not there. That would have maybe been a decent play on paper. Same thing with Ja Morant. Looks like Memphis may be stuck with him a year. Hopefully he learned his lesson. 25 games, $50 million from all this debacle. They've got a veteran there with Marcus Smart. Maybe they'll be okay, and everything's going to be fine. But Lillard, his time is running out. If you really want to get a championship, and you hate to see a player of his caliber, another great player, I had to put him on the list with Patrick Ewing and Charles Barkley as excellent players who simply did not get a championship. You know, he's 33. So, yeah, he's getting up there. And I wouldn't be so picky about that. So we'll see how it all plays out. Yeah, a lot of these guys you can get out of big teams. Bradley Beal signed a big deal, and he just got moved to the Phoenix Suns. So and you know, look how strong Denver is, Phoenix is. I don't know if there's anything Portland can do at this point to pass either of those teams up. Not to mention the Lakers. Believe it or not, they're still pretty strong themselves, folks. So those are my thoughts. Let's see what happens. I would try to go somewhere if I'm Lillard, and if I'm Portland, I wouldn't be so stubborn. You know, give me some young players to work with. We'll start over. You got a good piece there in Scoot Henderson, in my opinion. All righty then. Let's see where to go at next. Okay. News dump on Friday. Buffalo Bills quietly this morning. Buffalo Bills, yeah. Klay Thompson could be traded. I would move off Klay and Draymond if it's me, Chad. And I talked about that yesterday in yesterday's program. So the Bills, switching gears back to the pigskin. The Buffalo Bills extended general manager Brandon Beam. They've also signed Sean McDermott to an extension. Now, what was it, February? Not this February, the February before that. The Titans, they extended Mike Vrabel and John Robertson. And we know what happened in Philadelphia right in the middle of the season there. The Titans end up, the ownership decided to fire the general manager, John Robertson, just after his extension there back in February. So he's doing pretty well. He's making some pretty good money not to do anything. That was from the botched trade. I guess the organization viewed it as a botched trade, the A.J. Brown for a first-round pick. They probably could have got more. I was okay with it due to his injury in the past, him being in a wide receiver. Probably hindsight, you probably could have got more. That being said, my whole point is McDermott and or if not both still could be fired. I do not think Beam's going to get fired, but I do think if you look, and I've talked about this ad nauseum earlier during the week with John Restano, obviously from Niagara Falls area, who keeps up with the Buffalo Bills, got a lot of close ties to the team there. I just think that McDermott is on the hot seat. There have been other coaches just after they got extended, been fired in the college game and the program. Not to mention, I just mentioned the general manager. So I do think that can happen. As far as the Stephon Diggs thing, Spot Track put this out today. All this, like I said, when all this broke, the Spot Track people who cover the cap situation in NFL, they got a whole website dedicated to that. They said, "Dear world," this is the founder of Spot Track on his Twitter page, "the Bills aren't taking on $45 million in dead cap money over the next 2 seasons to trade Stephon Diggs, sign logic." And of course, I went on and said, I disagree. If things get toxic enough, they will move on for him and take that hit. See the Pittsburgh, see the Las Vegas Raiders took a similar big hit there. The New England Patriots, 2 years of dead money after releasing Antonio Brown when he did not disclose some other issues that he had. So it can happen. I'm not saying it will happen, but it could happen. I do think Diggs has got some issues. We've had I've had John Restano on. He talked about this guy's like third in targets in the whole league. He gets 2 to 3 times more the second receiver in targets in league. I've said this guy's a growing cancer. He's been there more than 2 years. They should have extended him the first time. They should not have re-extended him. When there's smoke, there's fire. A guy like Stephon Diggs, you've got to look for these diva receivers. You got to look for the warning signs and move off quickly, especially when you've got a young ascending quarterback. There's a lot of receivers out there that are young and in the draft that they could have made a move on. So that all that being said, I'm saying this, yeah, they'll probably keep this guy. And I'm telling you right now, my thing is, I told you that I could possibly change my mind on picking them to win the AFC East. After this stuff has came about, with the stuff that happened in the Cincinnati game, with the sideline antics I've seen during the season last year, not to mention the reason why he's even a Buffalo Bill, because he pulled this at Minnesota too. This is a guy that can't be on a good behavior for a long period of time because that's not who he is. He's a diva that wants the ball all the time. James Jones was on the Colin Cowherd show yesterday, and he says, man, this guy, former Green Bay Packer, said, listen, this guy That is not cool. And the other receivers in that receiving room see that. You know, they brought in a really talented Dalton Kincaid out of Utah tight end, not to mention their other tight end and Gabriel Davis there. So he's going to get some balls that are not going to go his way. He's a cancer. He's going to be a growing cancer. The division's got much better. Now you've got Aaron Rodgers in your division. Now the Patriots have a offensive coordinator, and I'm telling you, as of today, I'm picking them to finish second with Dolphins, with the new defensive coordinator, Fangio. Going to be huge. Got a big-time cornerback there and Jalen Ramsey there, and they possibly still might get Dalvin Cook on that team. And I saw the, Tua working out. I read that he's working out with some kind of ninjutsu instructor to learn how to fall better. He's put some extra weight on, been in the gym. So you look at last year, how well they played in September and October, big comeback against that Baltimore defense. So there's a lot going on for them. And, the Bills, they're going to be stuck with this guy. And I think they still will fire Sean McDermott. This team comes in as a wild card. They have a blowout. I'll put it this way. This has got to the point where I can see them suspended him in the regular season, conduct detrimental to the team. I can see a situation like John Gruden several years ago when Keyshawn Johnson getting in his face pickles. You remember that when he's following him down the sideline when he was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That was the second year. I can see a really bad incident coming with him. If it's me, again, going to double down on what I said, that I would essentially try to trade him off, take this hit. You can get around things. Trust me, I've been around this league long enough to realize you want a guy out bad enough, you can make it happen. Trade him for CeeDee Lamb to the Dallas Cowboys. Let him go play with his brother and bring in CeeDee Lamb, give out a pick, just get him out of there. You can fluctuate the contract here. I would take CeeDee Lamb over him in a million years. Then you may be able to find a way to bring in a DeAndre Hopkins and plug him in at slot there. So I'm telling you, this is not going to work out. And Pickle says, McDermott is on the clock and it's win or go home. That's exactly it. They need a guy to help them with that running game and somebody to, to help him run the ball and have a more of a fluid offense. They've got the defense there. They've got the quarterback there. He's a special quarterback. You hate to see this season go down the drain. So that is a story to monitor throughout the summer, throughout training camp, and definitely once the season starts in September. They got the first game at the Meadowlands against the New York Jets. Yeah, and Pickle says the Patriots blowing a lot of smoke about the offense. I think they're going to be better. Traquan Thornton, a real offensive coordinator. And as FanDuel says that DeAndre Hopkins is the favorite. The Patriots are the favorite for odds-wise to land DeAndre Hopkins. Even if they don't, their running game will be better. Their defense will be better. They're going to have more depth on the defense here. I like that young cornerback they drafted. I just got a feeling this team is going to be a whole lot better. You look at the way they played a really tough Cincinnati team late in the season. I don't think that Mac Jones has the strongest arm in the world, but I think he's a very smart quarterback. He apologized for some of the stuff he said and some of his antics too, which kind of got on my nerves as well. And I do believe this defense will be better. They've shown some signs of improvement, lost to some close games last year. They're going to be a big upgrade this year. Yeah, get away from Josh Allen, Bolton to run. Kirk Herbstreit said to Bill O'Brien will make Jones a star. Yes, O'Brien's going to make him a lot better. They're going to have more fluidity. The receiving core is going to be better with Parker, Thornton, with Hunter there. I just think that it's year 3 for Mac Jones. He's going to have a big bounce back year. They're going to be better everywhere. Contrary of what others say, I think they're going to have a better offensive line. Listen, the Jets look great, but they don't really have a good offensive line, And, mind you that Rodgers, I like Aaron Rodgers, but he did tweak his calf, folks. He tweaked his calf in OTAs. What do you think is going to happen in training camp when he's going against Von Miller, when he's going against Bradley Chubb at Miami? Okay, so it's not a lock the Jets are going to be great. If he gets hurt and Zach Wilson's back in, you're right back at square one there in New York. Right? You have to say that and be, simply be honest about things. Okay? All righty then. All right, been wanting to talk about the AFC West for a while here. There was some talk here with Travis Kelce. He was going back and forth with Jamar Chase, and Jamar Chase said something about who's Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes said, "This is who I am," and Mahomes got 2 rings. Rightfully so. Mahomes had the best comeback. They had the ring ceremony in Kansas City the other day, and Travis Kelce says to Jamar Chase after wide receiver Pat Hubarb, "If you want to talk your bleep, pimp. Just better back it up." Travis Kelce saying something to Jamar Chase there. Now, I brought up Travis Kelce's name for the Chiefs for a reason. I love Travis. Travis Kelce, arguably yards per play, because he's got Andy Reid, because he's got Patrick Mahomes throwing him the football. Maybe the best tight end ever yards per play. We're talking Tony Gonzalez. We're talking Antonio Gates. We're talking who was the other one? Rob Gronkowski. But if you look at yards per play, big play, because of the athleticism and Andy Reid and Mahomes, this guy is money. He is money in the bank. But let me just tell you the truth. He will be 34 in October, okay? Kelce is going to be 34 in October. I don't see him playing 17 games this year. I know they've got Sky Moore, Valdez Scandalin, and they got the guy they brought in from the Giants, but I'm not sure that the reliability at that position is going to be that great. But my thing is, Mahomes still loves Travis Kelce. He's still his guy. And, I believe that they'll be able to scheme people open. But this division is going to be very much harder. And especially the Denver, I'm reading about Russell Wilson losing all this weight and what Sean Payton is trying to do, get him to be running more. And I'm looking at their offense and what's been leaked out and what the receivers and stuff are saying. And you look at how tight those games were with Denver and Kansas City. And, just those Denver games are really narrowly tight. When you went from a guy who arguably maybe a coordinator to a Hall of Fame coach, that's a big, big difference there in Denver, But, this Kansas City team, and I'll start off talking about this Kansas City team, okay? I said this earlier, and we kind of teased this, that Orlando Brown was a staple at left tackle. He was, but Brett Veach, he thought, man, we're so good. We've got another ring. We don't really need a guy of this caliber. We're going to let him walk. We think, this is what I'm trying to decipher the general manager's head. We think we're going to be okay with with possibly making a move for Laremy Tunsil, but if not, we'll slide somebody in there. So they go out and get this Jawan Taylor guy who is a right tackle, right? And this was last March, which was a right tackle from Jacksonville, right? I've told you about this before. And between then and the draft and May, it's May the 10th, I want to say, they go out and sign former Tampa Bay Buccaneer Donovan Smith, who played 13 games for the Buccaneers last year, right? Well, we saw what was a big issue, even with Brady's quick release. They had some issues there at left tackle. He played 13 games there, Donovan Smith. They're paying him $4 million to play left tackle. This is not a good move for the Chiefs, okay? The Chiefs are going to take a step back because of this, all right? They do have a decent offensive line to good everywhere else. Right tackle, guard, center. They have one of the better centers in the league. They've hit it out of sight here, you know. But moving this guy like Donovan Smith here at left, there's going to be a drop-off there at that position. It's a very important position. Remember last time they had some question marks on the offensive line. They got smoked in the Super Bowl, okay? Even when you got a guy as good as Patrick Mahomes and his main guy here, he's not going to play 17 games at 34 years old. He's not going to be to this level of productive Travis Kelce of this particular season. It's just not. It's going to catch up with him. You know, I'm telling you. I like the guy. Has won me a lot of fantasy games. You know. But if you look at this Kansas City Chiefs schedule, it's not as easy as it was last year. You know, I do think they'll probably knock out Detroit in week 1, but they got to play road games. They got to play teams like the Miami Dolphins. I just mentioned how good this Dolphins. They play this Miami Dolphin team in week 9 before their bye week. They got to play them overseas, okay? This Denver team, a lot of close games. Listen to their games last year. They beat the Chargers 27-24 in week 2, all right? They lost. They beat Las Vegas last year 30-29. All right. They beat Tennessee with a backup quarterback 20-17 in overtime. All right. They beat the Chargers the second time 30-27. I'm going to go over the Chargers are loaded. Chargers played 15 games with the backup left tackle. Missed 15. Rashawn Slater missed 15 games. Look how close these games are. All right. They lost at Denver, or they won at Denver 34-28. You know, they beat at Houston 30-24. They played Denver again 27-24. Well, now look at Denver. 2 3-point games against Denver, folks. All right. 2 1-score games against Denver, 1 3-point games against Denver. Now you're looking at a rejuvenated Denver Bronco team. Now you're looking at and I'll go over them in just a second, a completely loaded LA Chargers team. All right. And then, you know, they play Philadelphia again. They play Buffalo again. They play at New England. They play Cincinnati again. Cincinnati's going to be better. Okay. So they're not going to they lost 3 games last year. I think that they're going to lose some of those close games this year. I got them going 12-5, 11-6. Something like that, okay? Keep that number in mind. I just do not think I just don't think they're going to get the breaks that they got last year. I think they're going to have some. Chad says they need Kels for the playoffs. Yeah, Kels is going to be 34 this year. He can't be relied upon that heavy as a tight end at 34 as he has been in the past. It's father time. You're playing a 17 games, very competitive. You've got a mark on your back. You're going to be targeted. You're playing a very good Cincinnati team here, a much improved Charger team, a much improved Denver team twice a year. Okay, it's just not going to fall to you. They play Jacksonville. That's a playoff team that was in the playoffs last year. All right. They also have a very good pass rush, just in case you don't know. If you don't know, now you know. All right. Okay. Now let's talk about Denver. Okay. Listen, Denver, you got Sean Payton. You know, I mentioned Russell Wilson losing the weight. They signed the best guard free agent. This guy, Ben Powers, arguably one of the best guards in the game. The Ravens did not want to re-sign this guy. They signed him immediately. Garrett Bowles, he was out after like week 5. That's their left tackle. He's already practicing. He's not going to miss any time here. So they boosted up their offensive line here. The defense was already playing good. Listen to some of the close games that they were involved in last year, as if, you know, what's the old adage in football? Some days you get the bear, some days the bear gets you, right? Some days you get the bear, some days the bear gets you. Some years you're going to win the turnover battle. The ball's going to bounce the right way. Denver, remember they lost 17-16 in week 1. They lost overtime to Indianapolis at home on the Thursday. You think they're going to lose a game like that with Sean Payton? Are you kidding me? They lost an overtime game at the LA Chargers the following Monday, 19-16. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen under Sean Payton. Pickle says, look at their last 6 games. Yeah, let's look at them. They lost to Kansas City again. They lost to Baltimore 10-9 in December in week 13. That's not going to happen under Sean Payton. They lost a 1-score game to Kansas City. That's not going to happen under Sean Payton. They lost 27-24 at Kansas City. That could potentially go the other way. So, you know, a lot of 3-point games. Lost a last drive game at Tennessee. Lost an overtime game to the Las Vegas Raiders. So you're starting to look at how many close games. That's all coaching. That's field position. That's kicking game. They've got my guy, special teams guy, Mike Wessoff. He's going to be their special teams guy. They're going to be 100 times better in the punting game, in the kicking game. That's a big deal when you're playing 2 very competitive teams there. So Denver, only issue I have with Denver is Javonte Williams may not be back at running back. Remember, he also got hurt. So I think that there's a chance they could sign in the next few weeks Dalvin Cook, who's out there, Kareem Ketchup Hunt, who knows that. Call him Ketchup Hunt, like Hunt's ketchup. Used to play for Kansas City and Cleveland. He knows that division pretty well. I still think he's got something left in the tank. He may sign with Denver there. They also may bring in a Zeke Elliott, who may be a player there in Denver. So there's a lot of stuff that could happen. They may bring in DeAndre Hopkins there. So looking at this team, you know, and listen to their first couple of games here. The Raiders at home to open up the season. The Raiders are going to be bad. I'm going to talk about the Raiders here in just a few minutes. They play the the Raiders might not even have Jimmy Garoppolo there as their starting quarterback, and their terrible interior offensive line. Then they got another home game against the Washington Commanders there with a second-year quarterback there against Russell Wilson. So I see them starting off the season at 2-0. I got them losing at Miami in week 3, but then they play the Bears, who are still kind of trying to figure things out. They got the Jets at home, okay? They got Green Bay at home. They got Minnesota, who's got a terrible defense. They got them at home. They got to play at Houston. Now, Detroit's going to be tough. They got New England at home. So, and of course, they got their divisional games. Yeah, they might lose to Cleveland, but you know what? I got the looking at it. I think they're 11-6 football team. They're going to be right in the thick of things for the wild card. I have to break down everybody. These aren't my final predictions. I'll give you my final predictions the week of Labor Day. Starting Tuesday after Labor Day, I'll give you my final answer, like the guy from the Millionaire Show used to say. What's his name? Regis Philbin. Is that your final answer on who wants to be a millionaire? Yes. But right now, I got them 11-6. They got a good schedule. I like the way the schedule's spread out. In some of their 50-50 games, they're playing a lot of teams coming off Monday night and coming up to Denver, Colorado. It's very hard going up there, Pickles, on a short week. I tell you, Sean Payton's a really good coach, man. And I do think Russell Wilson has settled down, calmed down. The offensive line is going to be a lot better. They're going to get one of these running backs here. The defense is already good, especially on the back end for Denver. And I showed you how many games last year with that god-awful coach. There were 3-point games against good teams like the Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay? Tennessee at the time. All right, so let's see. All right, let's talk about the Raiders here. Now, the Raiders, bottom feeder team, 5-12 last year. My guess is 5-12, maybe 4-13 this year. Again, middle of the offensive line holes. Jimmy Garoppolo may or may not play. If he does play, he's injury prone like nobody's business. I do not think that Josh McDaniels is head coaching material. Devontae Adams is hinting around that he wants out of town. He backtracked on that. I think they're going to be sellers come the trade deadline in early November. They may trade Devontae Adams. I do think this team is probably a 5-12 team again. Mark Davis, depending on if he's got the money, in my opinion, I think he'll probably fire Josh McDaniels if he thinks he can afford it. If he's already brought in Tom Brady to own part of the team, he's trying his darndest to gather up some more money. He's one of the poorest owners in the league. So I think this team maybe 6-11 or 5-12. They'll beat somebody they're not supposed to, and they're always going to lose somebody that they're supposed to beat. That's the Raiders for you. So, and some are calling it's kind of like a soft tank, per se. They're calling it a soft tank. We talked about the story where there's a possibility if Garoppolo don't play at all, his whole contract can be void. So it's a weird situation down there in Vegas. But again, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're a 5-6 win team at best, and likely move off Josh McDaniels. And Mark Davis realized he made a huge mistake there. Okay, now the Chargers. Now, mind you, like I said earlier, Rashawn Slater, he missed their left tackle, really good left tackle, missed 15 games and playing at 20 to 25% for early part of the season. Justin Herbert still plays hurt and without Rashawn Slater. They still get to the playoffs they still have a three score lead against Jacksonville, only to give it up late. And they brought in Keelan Moore, former Dallas offensive coordinator. Dallas was fourth in points in the NFL. They're going to have Rashawn Slater back. They are loaded, absolutely loaded with skilled players. I told you they would draft this guy. Make sure I can get this real quick. Let me look. I thought I screenshotted their depth chart. But this Charger team, you look at their depth, I would say this. Okay, here we go. I said they would draft Quentin Johnson out of TCU. The Chargers did. They drafted Quentin Johnson out of TCU with Mike Williams, with Keenan Allen, with Jalen Guyton, who could run like the wind blows, with Joshua Palmer, tall guy, long arms, catches the ball at the back of the end zone. Austin Eckler had some issues with him. He's going to come back. They've adjusted his contract there. Very good dual threat running back here. Not to mention the defensive side of the ball here. Okay, they signed Eric Kendricks, linebacker out of Minnesota, to help them out there. They have Asante Samuel Jr. coming into year 3. Could be much more polished as a cornerback there with that backfield there. Derwin James, arguably one of the better safeties playmaking-wise in all of the NFL. Not to mention Bosa and Khalil Mack, although Mack is getting a little bit long in the tooth here. This team they're going to be hungry. I think they're going to get the best record in the AFC. I just see it all taking off. They have so much depth there. I don't see Rashawn Slater missing 15 games. I don't see Justin Herbert getting that kind of banged up here. I like the way their schedule's made out here. Playing Miami at home this year, going to Tennessee. Actually had them beat Tennessee early. Playing at Minnesota, Raiders at home. Off a bye week, Dallas at home, they'll win that. Bears at home. They got to go play at the New York Jets on Monday night. That'll be a huge game. Got Detroit at home, Green Bay at home, or Green Bay there, but Green Bay's not going to be that good. Baltimore at home. Tough road games, at New England, not that bad. And, of course, their divisional games. But they got Buffalo at home. I think they'll probably beat Buffalo. I think this is a 13-4 team. I think they're going to win the AFC West. And right now, I think Herbert's probably going to win the MVP. Right now. It's either going to be Herbert or Hurts there with the Philadelphia. But I'm not looking at all that depth they have at skill position. Really good. They even got a good tight end, man. I mean, this is a very loaded team. They've got now Staley could cost me and really make me lose my concentration and frustrations here. But he did make some adjustments from year 1 to year 2. Very young head coach. We saw what he did last year. He didn't do all those crazy analytical plays in the red zone. He just kicked. He took the field goal when he needed. It was second half adjustments on offense. He's got a better offensive coordinator this year. They're very deep in a lot of key positions this year. So I do think this is going to be a really good team on both sides of the ball. And they're probably, due to their schedule, the way their tough games are at home, and as good as Herbert's been playing and the transgressions that he has made, I see this team finishing about 13-4, and Kansas City at 11-6, beating a tiebreaker with Denver at 11-6, and of course the lowly Las Vegas Raiders there at the Las Vegas Raiders there, folks, at 5-5. 5-12, maybe 6-11 at best. Okay, so that can change. Again, I will give you as we go towards Labor Day. We'll talk about that again because I got other teams in the NFC to talk about. So interesting in the AFC West. Big bounce. I'm saying there's a big bounce back here for the Denver Broncos, and I think there is a step forward year for this LA Charger team, and they're going to win that division. Okay, ESPN. Now, ESPN is canceling the Keyshawn Johnson radio show. There also Max Kellerman is involved in that show. As a part of wide-scale company restructuring, which means layoffs, ESPN is reportedly canceling its nationally morning radio show. Keyshawn Johnson, Jay Williams, and Max Kellerman. Kellerman's a panderer. He's a guy that he's a wokester, and he's very reluctant to criticize like a black quarterback or anything, especially. And Keyshawn's a very sensitive guy to talk to you about how unprofessional he was with John Gruden with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Also, Rob Ninkovich, former New England Patriot, who works on Get Up and did some of the ESPN shows, they're not renewing his contract after 4 years. So they're restructuring some things. Stephen A. Smith, I've noticed that Stephen A. Smith, he does his separate podcast, and he's starting to get into pop culture. He's talking about the Prince Harry and stuff like that. He's going on the Sean Hannity show, talking politics, taking shots at both sides of the political arena. He's trying to go independent. He's trying to go all pop culture. He wants to be the host for Pat Sajak on Wheel of Fortune. He's trying to get out of the sports arena, per se. He's irritated. He says, when Pat McAfee got the $17 million, he says, well, we'll see when my contract comes up. We're going to have to fix that. So my thing is ESPN's not going to fix it. He knows they're not going to fix it, and he's going to go solo, and he's going to be all encompassing. He wants to be like Joe Rogan, my per se. But except he'll lean more into sports. He'll bring more basketball figures, NBA figures on his show. He'll bring some political people on his show. That's what I think Stephen A. is going to do. He's going to do that. ESPN, they're doing their restructure now. Again, I think it is because the social stuff, the weak leadership, getting on the gay agenda and going at it with the Florida government. And that is weak leadership, not saying that you are hired here to talk sports. You're hired to talk stuff related to sports. You're not here to lecture us on politics. You're not here to lecture us on whatever Disney's got going on. So that, other than the cord cutting, I think that's a bigger issue. You say, why? Because ESPN paid a fortune for the SEC football games. Remember, SEC is going to be 12-team playoff next year. Part of the 12, they've got 2 new teams. They're going to cover all the SEC games. They won the bid. Disney and ABC, they beat out CBS. You know, they've also got Texas and Oklahoma. So it's not, I think it's the pop culture, the politics, the woke stuff has driven people off ESPN for good. Now, I'll come there for content because sometimes I need some of their content to go off of. But I know what they're about. And they've fired some of those people, but they've rehired weak management to replace them. And they're just not wanting to spend the money. Now, is there a possibility that Disney could sell their sports stuff? That's a possibility. That's a big thing. That's a big deal, right? But I think they're going to wait and see how much they're going to bring in from college football. I do think that that could be big for them. But right now, They're laying a lot of people off right now. Again, they're laying a lot of people off. But they're still wanting to pay Pat McAfee a lot of money. They're still wanting to pay him a lot of money because he still draws people because he's more of a pure sports guy. I think he's a little overrated myself, but hey, man, if he more power to you. High tide raises all boats, and that helps shows like myself per se. But I thought that was an interesting story that has been in the news as of late here. Okay, somebody called this the Nerd Bowl. Somebody else called it two nerds going at it. Between Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, there's been jabs back and forth through social media about these two guys getting in like a MMA type of octagon. Dana White, who's founded the UFC and runs the UFC, says the two guys are serious about it. Now, Zuckerberg's 39. He's the 39, 40 years old. He's the creator of Facebook. He did an interview with Joe Rogan about a year ago, and he said, listen, man, I really like this Brazilian jiu-jitsu, these MMA type of training. I've gotten into it. He got really big into that over the COVID time there, over COVID. He's in pretty good shape. I don't really care for the guy. I watched The Social Network. I kind of had a sense that who he was. What do you call it? P word that rhymes with brick. I kind of thought that's what he was. Kind of an insecure nerd, born on third base, went to Harvard. And but he's been doing that. Now, on the other side, you look at Elon Musk. He's older guy, 51 years old. I read that he'd done some similar karate style of training, but it was when he was with the kid, when he was a kid, as much as I don't like, and Elon Musk, what people don't know, I know he's kind of an oddball guy too. He's got a social disorder that he's claimed that he's got called Asperger's. Asperger's is kind of like autism a little bit. Went to church with a guy with that social disorder where you don't understand sarcasm. You take everything too literally. You don't get some jokes. It's something with the guy's brain. He's got that. I like what he did with Twitter. The haters don't like it because he made it fair. If you don't believe what Silicon Valley believes, you couldn't say it on Twitter. Now you can. He just wanted it to be. So I do like what he did there. But is he an oddball guy? Yeah, he's a little bit. He's out there, man. Both of them are out there. That are a lot of really smart people that are genius, whatever. A lot of them are. I've read about it over the years. So, but for me to call it, if they fought today, I would pick. Even though I can't stand Zuckerberg, I would pick. Yeah, he's from South Africa. Zuckerberg's from up somewhere in the Northeast. I can't remember. But last guy I met from South Africa, military guy, real humble, talked just like Elon Musk. And this guy was one of the toughest guys I worked with, and he wasn't the biggest. Some of these big giant guys I work security with, this little bitty guy, soft-spoken guy from South Africa, beat them all in arm wrestling. He was in their military. He was a no-nonsense. Now, Musk would have to train for this. I wouldn't fight today if I'm Musk, I wouldn't fight today. Rogan knows both of them. Joe Rogan is an MMA guy. He does some training himself. He could probably help them both train for this. It would be a big pay-per-view event, It would be a pay-per-view event. And Jared Kushner, I don't know about that. MMS, Saudi murder, 9/11. But they would have to train for it. Zuckerberg's already training for it. I don't know. Musk may do that. He might not. But Musk Musk is a much better guy than Zuckerberg, in my opinion. Not that I don't love either one of them, but Zuckerberg, if I started naming Pickle some of the stuff he's done, we'll be here for a long time, man. We'll be here for a long time. Trust me, he's a piece of crap. But hey, I'll be fair. People I don't like. But I'd still say he would win that. He would win that match here. He would definitely. Zuckerberg would definitely win that match. But hey man, I tell you what, if you gave all the money to charity and did it would probably make some money. It would probably make some money. These celebrity boxing matches and fights that Mike Tyson set up with YouTube star that was it Logan Paul and whoever, former basketball players, NBA players, they make good money, man. They make pretty good money. So I do think it would be pretty successful. But anyways, folks, if you like the show, share the show. I'll be back here on Monday. This Monday so far, I will be back here. But some Mondays, you never know. I may be working, and you may have a rerun. But this Monday, I do plan on having a program here. And I'll be talking about whatever comes up here on Sports Scope. And again, please, if you like the show, please share it. We got to get this thing growing. It's a lot of hard work. Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.